Hi everybody! I'm here to do a really cool review today on New Japan Wrestling, which I haven't done in a long while. It's Wrestling Kingdom 13. Some really good shit happened at this event. I actually enjoyed myself watching it. Was it last night? It was in the afternoon. I actually took off from work for the day. I went ahead and requested time off, got some vacation finally after a long fucking time of working during the holidays. So I thought I'd get a 3-day weekend, which I managed to accomplish, thank God. So going into a couple of things, I hated the fact that every championship changed hands, making the event very, very predictable. But despite the results of the matches and the title changes, I did enjoy the in-ring action that happened throughout the entire show. Just to get into a few things, I did not like the fact Kenny Omega lost, but that might signal some signs that he may be switching to another company, which I kind of figured that might happen if he was losing the title to begin with. So with that being said, I don't know where he's going from here. I don't know if he's going to All Elite Wrestling, or he's actually going to go to WWE altogether. I don't know which one it's going to be. If it is WWE, which there was kind of a thing going on where he wasn't announced from the All Elite Wrestling program company that he was part of that roster, there might be a possibility Kenny Omega might be a surprise entrant into the Royal Rumble. And if that does happen, my God, the Royal Rumble will be fucking off the chain. That's just my personal opinion, at least for the Royal Rumble match itself. The rest of the show all depends on how all the other matches unfold and how they go about putting that match card together. But for Kenny Omega to show up at Chase Field Stadium for this Royal Rumble would be a total mind blower of all things. And I kind of hope that he doesn't go to WWE. My main reason for the fact that I wouldn't want him to go to WWE is because they change his character a lot. What he's got going on here in New Japan Wrestling and independent wrestling scene altogether, he gets to be who he is. Now, if WWE worked out a contract with him to allow him to do what he wanted to do, like CM Punk did at one point when he first initiated himself into the WWE and signed that contract, I'd be cool with it. But the way WWE functions and works right now, I really don't trust that WWE would do right by Kenny Omega. But nonetheless, let's get in the match card. I took down some notes on some of the spots that happened throughout this entire event. And a little bit of factual stuff that happened that Kevin Kelly and Don Callis actually mentioned throughout the event. For example, the never open weight title with Kota Ibushi versus Will Ospreay. Now, Kota Ibushi recently just won the title about probably a month ago in December. And the thing is, Will Ospreay won this title from Kota Ibushi yesterday. And I really didn't like the idea of that. I thought that was a wrong decision. I think Kota Ibushi should have won. He's only held the title for about a month, maybe less, and they gave it to him. Not to mention Ospreay, he went ahead and he had a rib injury going into the event. So with that notion, he had a rib injury, you'd think that'd be a setback for Ospreay to lose the match altogether, because it's a handicap to him as a in-ring competitor trying to, do his thing in the ring and maybe have some sort of setbacks during the matchup. I did notice one thing that Ospreay did. He slowed down his in-ring pace, which was a very good idea. I think that's probably one of the reasons why he got the rib injury altogether. Ospreay was very good in this. Kota Ibushi was very good in this. Both men had a outstanding performance with one another. The end result, my personal opinion, with the in-ring action, despite the the result of the match, I give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I mean, just to give you a list of the things I wrote down that I saw in the match, Ospreay kicks out of Ibushi's face. Ospreay kicks out. Ospreay kicks Ibushi in the face in midair. That was one segment of the match. They had a spot where Ibushi did a moonsault outside the ring, and he gets kicked right in the fucking face, lands on the outside of the ring. On top of that, Ospreay did a corkscrew moonsault to the outside. Spot a series of counters ending with Ospreay hitting Ibushi with a spinning STO. Basically, something you've seen with John Morrison at one point in his career. He actually would take a guy in the form of the beginning stages of the rock bottom, but instead of doing all the way through with the rock bottom, he flips them over onto their back and landing on their stomach while the opponent lands on his back. That's basically how that ended with that whole spot right there. Ibushi's package pile driver to Ospreay. He lands and he actually kicks out of this maneuver. Ospreay fought very, very heavily throughout this match. A lot of courage by both men. It was just really good action all around. I enjoyed everything that was presented to me. It was just the end result is what I disliked about it most of all. At the end of the day, Ospreay wins with the Stormbreaker, hits his finisher, and gets to 1, 2, 3. Three-way junior tag team titles for the IWGP junior tag team titles. I didn't particularly care for this match that much. I kind of skimmed through the entire thing. I did end up skimming to the part where they finish with a victory. The winners were Shingo Taiga and Bushi. They're the ones that won that match. Going into the British World Heavyweight Championship match with Tomohiro Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr., I have to admit, he's a great in-ring technician wrestler, but he doesn't get anything out of me. I really don't like his in-ring work. It's just too... It doesn't come out like as if it gets me entertained. It doesn't get me off the top of... It doesn't make me jump out of my seat type of thing. It's just, good in-ring technician wrestling. A lot like Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, but when Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle wrestled, they fucking entertained the hell out of me. What they did in the ring wasn't slow pace, it was fast paced moving action, basically. With Zack Sabre Jr., he's more of a guy that will go a slow pace with technician wrestling, and that's pretty much what you get from him. He's an outstanding performer, I have to admit that, but entertaining-wise, he doesn't make me jump out of my seat. That's the whole issue with Zack Sabre Jr., in my personal opinion. So that's all I have with beef with him. But just going into some of the things that happen here, Sabre locks in an armbar to start off the match. They exchange ankle locks throughout in the middle of the event. Ishii counters with a belly-to-belly suplex when Sabre tried to do a standing guillotine, which was very, very impressive. I really liked how he was trying to do a standing guillotine, and then at the end of the day, Ishii just goes ahead and grabs him by the stomach and fucking suplexes him like Scott Steiner type shit. It was fucking awesome, or like Taz. Ishii reminds me a lot of Taz, a Japanese version of Taz. He's a small guy, 5'11", very plunged, wide guy, with some good amount of muscle, and he's just a guy that really looks a lot like Taz, but he's Japanese, of course. So at the end of the day, they call him the Pitbull. So I mean, he did a good job. Both of these guys, in-ring action-wise, it was good. I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars because there wasn't a whole lot to get off of it. like, you know, you didn't jump out of your seat type shit or go, oh my god, this is outstanding or fucking unbelievable. It was good in ring action, but it wasn't something that would make you scream to the top of your lungs and make you want to jump out of your seat type shit. So that's the whole issue with that. The IWGP Tag Team titles were on the line. This was actually the fourth match on the card. The Young Bucks, Evil and Sonata versus Tama Tonga and Tangaloa. Their match was Tama Tonga. Yeah, Tama Tonga. I don't know what his deal is. He turned his entire group heel. He turned them into an evil faction. They turned on Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Marty Scurll, Adam Page, everybody on that group that was part of the Elite Bullet Club, and they turned them into the old school version when AJ Styles was the leader and Finn Balor was part of that group. And I don't know what the fuck happened, but he decided to turn good. The whole entire match is trying to follow the rules, in which case cost them the fucking titles. Sonata and Evil actually walk away with the victory. The in-ring work by everyone in this match was very good. I don't know why they keep juicing the shit out of Matt Jackson's back injury. I don't know if it's real or it's just a fix, just a kind of a way of creating some kind of drama for the Young Bucks where they have one brother who's weaker than the other and the Nick Jackson has to carry Matt Jackson through the match with his team and so forth. Sorry about the gas. I just ate some lunch, so that's the reason why I'm burping like this. I apologize. But in all honesty, guys, the reality about all of this is that I don't understand what the whole deal with Matt Jackson. I don't know if this is real or he's selling us on a back injury that's not real. So I'm not quite sure on that. But the match itself, it was awesome. Just to give you guys some of the highlights I wrote down that I noticed. Nick Jackson does a corkscrew to hit... corkscrew, what the hell did I write here? Holy shit. It's a corkscrew flip to Sonata, is what Nick Jackson hit. Sonata has a spot hitting crossbodies on everyone by countering each and every aerial assault. Sonata actually, during that segment, looked pretty fucking cool. I honestly think between Evil and Sonata's, Sonata would be the top star as a singles in-ring competitor. I think he would be a fantastic performer as an individual. Earlier this year, I think it was in March, Okada defended the IWGP Heavyweight title against Sonata, and I did a review on that earlier this year, earlier of 2018, and he was awesome in that match. He actually got me believing he was going to win the title, even though he's still part of a tag team with Evil, so I don't see why that would even happen. I don't think that would really be the right decision to go with unless Sonata was a singles in-ring competitor to do that. But that's not here or there. We also saw a Tower of Doom spot, I think it was Nick Jackson hits a 450 splash on Sonata, which was actually very impressive. Picture perfect. AJ Styles ought to take some notes off of Nick Jackson on that one, because I don't know, SmackDown this past week, he hits a 450 splash and he doesn't hit it very well. His knees hit the ground before his stomach hits the opponent. What the fuck is up with that? I mean, that's like trying to watch Rob Van Dam do a frog splash to somebody and he hits his knees on the mat instead of hitting the opponent. What the fuck kind of bullshit was that? That move, I have to admit with you guys, that SmackDown event that we saw just past week with that 450 splash with AJ Styles was horrendous. outlandish, ugly fucking finish to that event. And that match was actually a good 5-way match. I actually enjoyed that match. But all honesty, AJ Styles fucked that whole 450 splash. And he never did that incorrectly in TNA. TNA, he hit that 450 splash on the spot. So, I don't know what the fuck his deal was. So, just to close out the event with this last note that I wrote down, Sonata and Evil hit the Magic Killer and, what? Oh yeah, and followed by a Sonata moonsault onto Matt Jackson. That's how this match ends. I'm sorry. My writing, I just kind of write as quickly as I possibly could so I could watch the rest of the action, because each time I wrote down some of the spots that I saw that I was really interested in or felt was a very good highlight to throw into this so that I could review this with you guys. I actually just kind of quickly wrote this shit down. So I was trying to do it as best as I could with making sense, with proper grammar and all that shit to be able to read this to you guys. But it's not exactly, I didn't write it down as well as I should have. But regardless of all that, so Sonata and Evil, they hit the Magic Killer, and it was followed up by the Sonata hitting a moonsault on the Matt Jackson and getting the 1-2-3. To be quite frank with you guys, if you watch a New Japan wrestling show, it's a lot like fucking watching NXT. It's fun, it's entertaining. There's not a whole lot of storyline development through these matches that we see on the events, but they are as good when it comes to in-ring action like NXT. Maybe a little bit better because they really go all out and they fucking kick each other's asses. But that's not here or there. Anyway, we go into the IWGP US Heavyweight title, US title match. Cody Rhodes defending against Juice Robinson. Lo and behold, we get another title change. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. My stars on this match was a 4 out of 5 stars. Good tag team matchup. The Gorillas of Destiny, which was Tama Tonga and Tangaloa, are actually the tag team champions going in. Unfortunately, lose the tag titles to Evil and Sonata. Evil and Sonata get their second year in a row of winning the tag team titles in Wrestling Kingdom, by the way. So that's their second time winning it back-to-back in a Wrestling Kingdom event. So Cody Rhodes defended his IWGP US Heavyweight Championship belt against Juice Robinson, who was the original person he defeated for that title. Juice Robinson and Cody Rhodes, I gotta say that this match was a pretty okay, solid matchup, at least for a one-on-one match. I wasn't impressed with it, like going all head over heels, jumping up and down, screaming my full head off to it, but the work was done well enough. At least for a WWE standards, it was actually good. So, I mean, if you are a guy who's used to seeing WWE wrestling, and that's all you ever really watch, you don't go outside the box and watch other wrestling promotions, this matchup would have been very good on a WWE card. Not saying that this is horrible comparison to the other matches that were on the card, but it was just a, back and forth matchup. Pretty straightforward match. Nothing that was crazy or over, something you'd never seen before by either one of these two guys. The guys are mainly to the mat type guys. They don't do any high-flying maneuvers. I mean, Cody Rhodes might do a moonsault to the outside of the ring, possibly here or there, but nothing major. One of the things that stood out to me most of all is Brandy hitting a spear on Juice Robinson, which, by the way, for a woman like Brandy, who's not exactly well built like a Ronda Rousey or a Shayna Baszler or anything, or even for that matter, a fucking Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch, she took down fucking Juice Robinson pretty good. I mean, the spear looked pretty decently like an Edge type spear. I really liked what she did. She ended up started attacking Juice Robinson after the spear. The referee saw that. Instead of disqualifying Cody Rhodes for this and screwing him out of the title, he decided to continue the match, and the referee decided to eject Brandy Rhodes out of this matchup so the match is more fair and less distractions and less interferences. So that's what the referee decided to do. Cody Rhodes did botch Juice Robinson's maneuver, which is actually called the Pulp Fiction. It's very similar to the, it's actually the same exact move as the Unpredator. All he's doing is doing Christian's move. If you've seen Christian do his finishing maneuver, you know what I'm talking about. All he does is apply a little bit more velocity into his maneuver. He kind of jumps upwards and then smashes his opponent's face into the mat. That's the only difference between the two. But other than that, just the way it's performed, it's exactly how Christian used to do it when he was in WWE and professional wrestling and all that good stuff. So Juice Robinson, though, does pick up the victory by hitting his finishing maneuver, the Pulp Fiction maneuver, and getting the 1-2-3. Cody Rhodes did hit a crossroads on Juice Robinson, but unfortunately Juice Robinson kicked out. Again, we already know what's going on. Cody Rhodes is leaving New Japan Wrestling altogether. He's going to help build this All Elite Wrestling promotion and try to get it off the ground and maybe even be competitive with WWE. My personal opinion is, before I go any further with anything else on this card, I honestly think that with All Elite Wrestling, I think All Elite Wrestling needs to take it easy. They need to focus on building themselves, building the brand, and making it into something popular. I know for a fact, with all the names that they got so far with these guys that are starting it off, and if they perform actually live in person, giving us matches after match and so forth, it's going to get popular anyway because their name is on the program actually performing in the ring, which I'm pretty sure they're going to for a while until they start building the name up with some other good names added onto the brand. But until then, I think they need to focus on them. At that point, once they've focused on building this company up into something popular, I think they need to stick with 1 hour. And 1 hour going up against SmackDown. I think if they go up against SmackDown in the last hour, like 9 o'clock on a Tuesday or whatever night they perform on, Thursday nights, whenever they move over to Fox, I think they should go ahead and try to compete against SmackDown's ratings. If they notice that SmackDown's ratings are still outdoing them and they're losing ratings by doing this, then at that point they need to focus on just staying away from trying to compete with WWE. Because if they can't compete against SmackDown's ratings, then at that point they're not going to be able to compete against Raw's ratings. That's bottom line. But then again, I don't know which one's got the better ratings, Raw or SmackDown. It's probably SmackDown more than likely, but I don't know. I mean, the Raw is the flagship show of WWE. Woohoo! Who gives a shit? Personally, I don't think AEW should be going after trying to put WWE out of business at all. I think WWE and AEW need to just do their thing. If anything, All Elite Wrestling needs to have a partnership with Ring of Honor and New Japan Wrestling. They performed in both of these companies. They both have a good relationship with them. I didn't hear anything negative about any of the guys that are in All Elite Wrestling between Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, or even if Kenny Omega's part of this company, had any beef with them whatsoever. I mean, New Japan, they love, the fans in Japan love Kenny Omega. He learned their language. He spent many years performing for their company. I don't see why he would have any beef or any problems with them to begin with. So, that's just me. But I honestly think All Elite Wrestling, they need to just focus on building this company up. Maybe compete against SmackDown's ratings, see how they do. If they do well, great. Move on to Raw and see where you go from there. Challenge yourself each and every time against WWE. If you're failing, then I honestly think if they can go ahead and switch their time slots or what day that they go ahead and perform for their show, I know for a fact they're only going to do 1 hour. They're not going to be doing no 2 or 3 hours. Definitely not. But yeah, with that 1 hour, make the hour useful. Make it something that you can compete up against with and challenge yourself to see if you can improve on that and outdo WWE's hour. If they're not doing that, then at that point, you know for a fact you're not ready yet. Move on to something else. Maybe even just completely forget about it. And just do your company and make them into what they need to be. A superstar company. Because I honestly think this All Elite Wrestling shit is going to get off the ground. Is going to be successful. And I like independent wrestling. It gives you a different aspect on what wrestling should be. WWE's have the old mindset of all these pudged up, muscular guys. And I have no problem with the old school mentality either. But come on. You got to give some of the guys like ourselves who are just average Joe looking guys that, you know, these guys are well fit, but they're not fucking huge. They're, you know, normal everyday guys that wrestlers that Vince McMahon wants is people that are fucking huge, not of the norm. You gotta go what people can relate to, and the norm is what people can relate to. Not the fucking huge ass guys that are 6'5", or Triple H's height or some kind of shit. You gotta go with something that meets the public's eyes, which is 5'11", 5'10", 6 foot, even Kurt Angle's height, or a little bit lower than Kurt Angle. But those are guys that people focus on because that's what the majority of the height of people are. There's not a majority of people in the world. They're fucking 6 foot monsters. You very rarely see that unless it's within your genetic pool. So, whatever. Anyway, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. Kushida versus Tajira Ashimori. I didn't really care for this match. And I usually love junior heavyweight matches. This match did not appeal to me very much. I thought it was an okay matchup. By the way, let me scoop back here. I don't know if I said anything about the U.S. title match. That U.S. title match was a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Very solid match overall. So there you go. This matchup here, I didn't care for. I mean, it was typical junior heavyweight type shit. It was good wrestling, but it just didn't catch my attention. That's the issue. Now, maybe somebody else would say something completely different. By all means, they have the right to their opinion. I have no problem with that. That's what makes this platform, this fucking YWC, mean something. So, I actually enjoy being able to but to debate on what is good and what is bad with my audience. Not now that I don't get a lot of responses to my videos, but I would appreciate if somebody would respond to these videos when they watch them to give me a response on what you guys think of the in-ring action, the performances that were done, and so forth. But anyway, this matchup I really didn't care for. Ashimori, he wins the title from Kushida. I think Kushida should have retained the championship. I didn't see the need of another title change after title change after title change. But whatever. From there we had Jay White and Okada. Very surprising ending to this matchup. Okada loses to Jay White. Now, I think that was a very good decision And by the way, the junior heavyweight title match, I give that match a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a solid, okay match, but it didn't get me jumping out of my seat, which is not usually what New Japan Wrestling does for me. But going on here, Jay White picks up a victory by Blade Runner on Okada. I actually enjoyed this matchup. A very good action overall. Both of these guys put on a hell of a performance. 4 out of 5 stars. The last 3 matches of this event was spectacular. I enjoyed every minute of this shit. Jay White wins. He gets a really solid victory. And I honestly think in the year of 2019, you will see Jay White as the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Guaranteed. If Kenny Omega ain't staying in New Japan Wrestling, you can guarantee one thing. You will see Jay White as the leader of New Japan Wrestling outside of a few other guys that are Japanese wrestlers. Here's another thing I wanted to mention to you guys. There are some performances that are going to be happening in the United States by New Japan Wrestling on the East Coast. Not just California, but they're going to be moving over to the East Coast. They're going to actually have an event in Nashville, Tennessee. They're going to have an event in North Carolina. 2 live events that they're going to have here in the U.S., which I find extremely exciting. I hope they come to Florida before this year is up. Because at the end of 2019, I'm planning on moving to the West Coast anyway. But if they happen to come here on the East Coast within the time frame that I'm still here throughout 2019 and they come to Florida, I will definitely try to get a ticket to go to one of these events. Because this shit is fucking entertaining. So that's just my overall blabbering bullshit that I have to say on that. But Jay White, Okada, 4 out of 5 stars. Solid matchup. Very fun, entertaining shit. Back and forth action. You really didn't know who was going to win, but Jay White hit a surprising Blade Runner, similar to the Crossroads. And actually, I think, no, it's not like Crossroads. It's like the Sister Abigail maneuver that Bray Wyatt performs every time he's in the ring. But nonetheless, Jay White wins. I do predict by 2019, within the 2019 year, Jay White will be your new IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Then we had Naito versus Jericho for the IWGP Intercontinental title. Now, if anyone watched this, before they watched this match, and thought for a minute, I'm sorry, I'm a little intoxicated doing this video. I'm actually slightly drunk. I kind of had some alcohol this afternoon. If you're kind of wondering why I'm slurring my words, well, there you go. But anyway, Jericho, if you thought for any solitary second that Jericho is going to walk out victorious with the Intercontinental title, you're crazy. Now, my heart was hoping for Jericho to win. I mean, he's a WWE guy. He represents the United States. Of course, I was going to root for him to win. And I was hoping he was going to win, but I knew damn well he wasn't going to win. Naito wins the title. I don't know if Naito is going to change his opinion about having the Intercontinental title in comparison to the World title. He has mentioned in the past that the Intercontinental title is beneath what he deserves to have. He feels that he deserves something better than the Intercontinental title, and that would be the Heavyweight Championship, which is very good to his character. It shows that he has a lot of determination, gives more prestige to the World Heavyweight title because of the fact that he wants to pursue it, as well as anyone else that wants to pursue it as well. But Naito wins this matchup in a very high-class standard match. I have to admit, everything that happened in this matchup was fun. It was enjoyable. It was a no DQ match. There was one spot where it scared the shit out of me, and I thought Jericho was going to win this match. Naito got a DDT through a fucking announce table that's made out of the wood, And he fucking went ahead and put his head through it without the table breaking. That shit had to hurt like a motherfucker. And for him not to have a concussion, or maybe he did, maybe a minor one and we just don't know it as the fans. But man, oh man, his head went right through that motherfucker. And that shit sounded like it hurt like a bitch. Really. Then there was the Walls of Jericho, the moonsault he hit. Naito hit several times the spinning reverse DDT that he performs all the time. I forgot the name of it. But he hit that twice in this matchup. Once he didn't get the pinfall and victory for it for the first time he did it. Second time he did, which was later on in the matchup, which I think was about 5 or 10 minutes later. Jericho thought for a moment, a couple of times he won the match, but he really didn't. The referee was counting to the count of 2 instead of 3, and it was pissing off Jericho, making him very frustrated. A lot of similarities he did in this matchup was what he did in WWE as a heel. So if you've ever watched Jericho as a heel in WWE back when in 2002, early 2003, you would notice that a lot of what he was doing then is what he was doing in this event. Which was fine and dandy. I had no problem with it because when he was a heel back then, I actually enjoyed him. The Jericho heel that he performed in 2008 throughout 2009 and beyond that, whenever they decided to turn him face again, I didn't particularly like that. It was dry, stale, very boring. The only thing he had going for him was the rivalry with Shawn Michaels, and that was about it. The rest of it was just whatever. Nonetheless, he did have good matches during that portion of his career, but still, his character was very stale. It really didn't mean anything to me. But his in-ring work still has not changed to this day. It's a little bit slower because of his age. You got to respect that and be understanding of that. But at the end of the day, he still can perform at a high level. It's just the pace of the matches are a little bit slower than what they used to be. But you have to be understanding of his age, so that's no harm, no foul there. So, bottom line is, guys, I didn't have any problems with this matchup. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars as well. Very enjoyable match, despite the fact the victory was given to Naito. It is what it is, you know. Tanahashi, Horatio Tanahashi versus Kenny Omega for the not WWE Championship, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. I thought this match was great. It was very fun. Good in-ring action. Once again, there was nothing on this card that was bad. I can't say it was bad. It just didn't live up to what I've seen in the past. I honestly felt that this was a little bit lower than their normal standards of entertainment level. But it was good. It wasn't bad. Overall, I give the show a 4 out of 5 stars. Usually they're at 4.5 in my opinion, even 5. But this matchup here, the main event for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, I give it a 4 out of 5 stars as well. I think Kenny Omega should have retained the title, but if he's moving somewhere else, such as like WWE or the All Elite Wrestling promotion, then I understand their decision on taking the title off of him, giving it to a classic legend like Tanahashi, who's basically the John Cena of New Japan Wrestling. Anyway, seeing him win it was okay. I have no beef with it. It's not a big deal, but I kind of wish Kenny Omega was staying with New Japan Wrestling, not going to even All Elite Wrestling or even WWE for that matter. I think that this was his company. This was his. He is... Personally, to me, I think Kenny Omega was the franchise player of New Japan Wrestling. That's all there is to it, ladies and gentlemen. Tanahashi hit the frog splash twice in this matchup. Got the second time. picks up the victory, and wins. The rest of the action, self-explanatory. If you've seen a Kenny Omega match, then you know what happens. A lot of knee strikes, dangerous maneuvers off the top rope, superplex off the top rope, all those kinds of things you normally see in a Kenny Omega match. He performed them at this matchup. So matchup-wise, it was a 4 out of 5 stars, making the overall score of this show a 4 out of 5 stars altogether. I think the show was pretty decent, but it was a little bit lower standards to me compared to what they've done in the past. That's my overall beef with this show. I think that I think last year's event and the year before that was better than this. So that's just my opinion. Anyway, leave your comments and opinions down below. I'll get back to you on that. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to this channel. And hit the like button if you liked the video. And if you didn't like the video, hit the thumbs down. That way I can get some kind of fucking reaction on this damn channel. And maybe start building it up than having only 87 subscribers. Anyway, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great night, great afternoon, whatever day it is that you watch this fucking video. But enjoy yourself, have a great weekend, and bye-bye.